A hospital delivery room. A woman lies motionless with her eyes empty. The doctors try to revive her, but it was not possible, so they surgically remove her baby. This is Harmony. From the moment she was born, she could feel the negative energy of people and take it from them, but it hurts and weakens her. A nurse sees something special in that baby. On her way to bathe Harmony, the nurse notices a black fluid-like thing come out of her, and she stopped crying. This was no ordinary child, so she sneaks her out of the hospital in her coat. 21 years later, a grown-up Harmony wanders the streets, still finding it hard to be in public places because of so much negative energy from people. That same stormy night in a street, she finds a man shaking on the ground. She touches him and takes his pain away. A woman crying, she takes her pain away too and washes it away with a bottle of water. Harmony walks into a cat rescue shelter. She knows the owner, Molly, takes a cat from her, and they talk about the problems Harmony has had with so much negative energy and the pain she has been having. Molly surprises her with a small birthday cupcake. At a dark and scary warehouse, some delinquents are playing basketball. The group is making fun of the boy with the stutter, and the leader, Jimmy, is being cruel to him. Harmony sneaks past them into her place, but not before she was seen by the stuttering boy. At her place, Harmony gets in the shower, and the negative energy she had been absorbing washes away in a black fluid with the water. The next morning, we meet Mason. He is attempting to do some magic for kids, but fails badly. And as he is sitting and writing a list, he sees an old homeless man and helps him out. So the man sits with him to have a conversation about the list. That night, Harmony spots a well-dressed woman walk down the alley she was sitting on, so she pays attention to her. At the end of the alley, the woman sits down and lays out pictures of her family. But that's not all. She pulls out a gun and puts it to her head. That's when Harmony catches her and touches her hand. All the pain and suffering the woman is going through goes into Harmony now. Feeling free and grateful, the woman gives Harmony her card and tells her to call if she needs anything. The woman was Dr. Beth Miller. At a subway train, the gang is spray painting, and the woman, Tick, is dancing around. Mason walks in with his bicycle and sits next to them. He talks with Jimmy, and it's obvious Jimmy wants something from him, but their stop comes up, and they all get off the train. Harmony is in so much pain after that, and as she stumbles to get back home, a man stops her in her tracks. The second he grabs her, she takes the fear from him, and he felt great. So he grabs her again, and she sees all the horrible things this man has done. This overwhelms him, and he passes out. When she is stumbling past the warehouse, the gang spots her this time. The stuttering boy tries to go and help her, but Jimmy stops him. She barely gets to her place with the man's memory still in her head. The dark fluids are flowing out of her now, and she manages to get herself into the bathtub and lets the water hit her, taking away the darkness as she lays there weakened. This is when the gang breaks into Harmony's place. They look around for her. The stuttering boy finds her passed out in the bathtub, and he sneakily covers her up, so the rest of the gang won't see where she is. They feel something weird in there, and despite the stuttering boy's protests to get out and even play Jimmy one-on-one, Jimmy says no, and they tear the place apart. At the hospital, Mason meets with the administrator, who is very busy with the hospital closing down. So Mason asks for a list, he apparently likes lists, of the things the hospital needs, tells her that he will be taking care of the bills from now in. Harmony wakes up and sees the mess the gang has left. She lays down on the ground crying. Dr. Beth calls Mason, who is her son, and invites him to a dinner party, and he agrees. Harmony sneaks past the warehouse and goes to the cat shelter, but Molly isn't there. She has no place to go, so she calls Dr. Beth, who invites her over to the party. On her way to the party, Harmony runs into Jimmy on the subway, and she runs away from him. Harmony reaches Dr. Beth's house and is invited inside, where Mason is talking to a woman. Public places don't agree with Harmony, but this time, she feels different. So does Mason. That's when their eyes met. Mason immediately walks over to her and says hi. Their conversation is awkward, and he shoves sushi in her mouth. But when they touch, she doesn't feel the same as when she touches others. After helping a couple, Harmony felt overwhelmed and ran out of the house. Mason follows her, but he was too late. Back inside, Mason finds an envelope of cash addressed to Harmony. Dr. Beth found Harmony's jacket that had the cat shelter button on it. Harmony walks into the cat shelter, saying something strange happened last night, but there he is. Mason found the shelter and gave her back her jacket. Molly leaves them alone. They talk, and he is really interested in her. He said he'll take her anywhere, and Molly agrees that she should go. And after more awkward back and forth, she agrees to go with him. He gave her the cash envelope, but she puts the money in the donation bowl. Mason also left a check for 200 grand for the shelter. Molly calls someone and says she met one, and that it's starting. Mason takes Harmony to an old building. It is an old telescope room that he helped restore. He tells her about the stars and how everything might be connected with very tiny strings. He asks her how she helped his mom, and she tells him that she helped her feel better and how water helps wash it away. But when they touched, she said she stopped feeling it from anyone, and not just him, so decide to go to a public place, somewhere where she would never go alone. He takes her to a sober club. No drugs or alcohol. He opened the club with his friend Eve. They walk in and everyone is dancing, and they meet Eve, who calls Harmony and Angel. So Mason and Harmony go to the dance floor and dance in the most awkward way possible. But the night isn't over yet. They go to a quiet dinner to have waffles. He shows her a stupid magic trick, and she makes fun of him. And she spots a weird bracelet that he had. He said he made it, but she also had the exact same bracelet. He then gives he a picture of the galaxy they saw. Mason drops her off, and they make plans to meet tomorrow. He is happy and smiling, but he remembers how he was driving when he crashed and killed his family. The memory becomes too much, so he had to stop the car. He fell out and screams in the street. Someone calls Harmony and tells her something has happened to Mason, so she runs to the hospital. When she walked in and he saw her, he calmed down, but the darkness was in his eyes. And when she saw that, she knew she was the cause for all of this, so Harmony chose to run away. But Mason chased after her until an orderly grabbed him. Dr. Beth tells him that he needs to go find her, because for the first time, he has found someone who makes him happy, and that pain is normal when you connect with someone like this. In a dark alley, Jimmy gets the stuttering boy to go to Harmony's place again with them, but he tries running away to go warn her. Mason runs over to Molly, but she doesn't know the answers, so she calls over her sister, the nurse that took Harmony from the hospital. She told him that they were 5 kids born in the same hospital on the same day, and all of their mothers had died, and there was no one else to claim them. Nurse Jean tells Mason about a world filled with darkness and depression, and before it was too late, something was sent to fight that. Harmony and Mason, but neither of them don't know where she is, so she tells him to use that connection they have, the balance they have struck, to find her. The stuttering boy catches up to Harmony and warns her about Jimmy, but she touches him and takes his fear away, so he stops stuttering. She runs away after that. Mason calls the hospital and confirms the nurse's story about the 5 children. The rest of the gang catch up to the stuttering boy, and when he tries to stop them, they are surprised by his normal speaking, but they decide to beat him up anyway, because Jimmy wants her. After getting inside, Harmony tears apart her own place, but finds the picture Mason gave her, which calms her down and makes her smile. But she's not alone. Jimmy and his gang are there. Mason pulls out a map and circles all the places that he has seen her, and by using the cutout of the stars she gave to him, he finally figures out where to find her, so he runs over to go there. Back at Harmony's house, Jimmy has tied her up to a chair and introduces himself and everyone to her. But Sven doesn't feel right about what they are doing to her. They all feel something weird. It's coming from her. Mason arrives at Harmony's place and runs in past the warehouse. Jimmy, as it turns out, is one of those kids, except he gives people the negative energy. When he touches Harmony, the feeling he got was like something he never felt before. The stuttering boy is beaten down bad, but he manages to get up and hobble over to where they have Harmony tied up. Harmony is feeling it too much, and she starts to drip the dark fluids all over the floor. This scares Tick and Sven. The negative thoughts and fears of the two spills over and drives them crazy. But no Jimmy seems to love it. Jimmy points a gun at her and shoots. Mason hears it and runs over, but Jimmy didn't shoot her. He tells Harmony about the darkness and how he has enjoyed it through his life. Mason finally finds them, and as he is trying to break down the door, the fear becomes too much for Harmony, because now the source is within her, but she uses it as energy and breaks free, splashing the dark fluids on Jimmy that makes him pass out, but not before shooting Mason on the shoulder. Mason then cones over to Harmony and holds her hand. He absorbs all the negative dark fluid with her, and they both collapse. The stuttering boy comes in and uses the phone to call for help. After a few days, Mason wakes up screaming in pain in his bed. Harmony is there too, and she goes to see him. He is with his mother, who is scared. Harmony takes the stress out of Dr. Beth and calms Mason down and asks Dr. Beth to leave. When she climbs in bed with him, Harmony absorbs all the darkness from him. This overwhelms her, and she seems to have passed away. Mason carries her to the shower, but the water isn't enough. Dr. Beth tries to convince him that it is over and there is no bringing her back, but he isn't giving up and carries her to the ocean. Then suddenly, all the darkness shoots out of her into the water and she wakes up. But the story isn't over. Jimmy is spreading fear and depression, and Mason and Harmony will have more work to do. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.